Let's piss some people off.
Alright, come sit with me for a minute. Not rushed, not defensive, not already preparing to disagree with me. Let's just sit here. Welcome back to I Am Spice, the podcast. If you're new here, I'm really glad you found your way in. And if you've been here before, thank you so much for coming back and choosing this space once again. I have a very, very good topic for this episode. And before we get into it, please subscribe, follow, leave a rating if you can. Honestly, not for numbers, but because conversations like this don't survive unless people decide that they really matter. And there's more of this that we need to be talking about. Now, before I even say the title out loud, before you guys come out for me, I need to say something very, very clearly. I already know how this is gonna land. What are men gonna think? I can see their eyes rolling. The moment some men hear healed women versus unchanged man, it's going to feel like an attack. I know. It's going to feel like blame, like finger pointing, like I'm saying men are the problem to all of our issues. And that reaction right there really, really matters. That's not what I'm saying at all. Because defensiveness usually shows up when something touches a nerve we haven't dealt with yet, unresolved issues. So I am not here to shame men. I am not here to glorify women at all. I am not here to simplify something that is actually very layered and very uncomfortable. And that's what we're going to be talking about. I'm here to talk about patterns, and I'm using psychology, proof psychology, lived experience, and what's happening inside real relationships as a true mirror, not a weapon. So please do understand this. I am basing this topic on true data and what psychology says, because something feels off in relationships right now everywhere, not just online, in homes, in marriages, in beds, in the silence after conversations that never really finished. There's a lot of those, and everybody feels it. Now, people keep calling it a gender war, but this doesn't feel like a war. Wars are loud. This feels different. This feels quiet. And it also feels heavy if you come to like really sit with it. Like two people sharing a life while emotionally living on different planets. That's why they say women come from Venus and men come from Mars. So this isn't men versus women. You guys need to understand. This is healing colliding with what refuses to change. And this is why this doesn't feel normal. Relationship problems. And here's the reason why. Here's what was actually underneath all of this tension that we're all feeling, and that it's felt throughout all of this relationship, and nobody knows what it really is. When a system changes, the people who benefited from the old system feel threatened. Even if no one is attacking them, even when nobody's saying anything. And that's what's happening. Women are starting to heal. For a long time, relationships survived on unspoken agreements. Agreements that are just like said, but nobody agreed to it. Women over functioning emotionally. Men under function emotionally. And both call it normal when it's not. But now something truly shifted. This isn't about the dating app. This is not about the money. This is not about sex. And you guys know why I'm having to spell this word. It's not about the text first or who called first. Those are surface level arguments, if you come to think about it. What's underneath all of this? Some people have learned how to feel, process, reflect, and self regulate. And some people are still surviving by numbing, avoiding, or shutting completely down. So, healing changes your tolerance. Once you heal, you tolerate different things at the same time. Things you used to excuse now feel unbearable because now you know what you're supposed to be doing. So you're like, no, I'm not going to take that. Things you used to rationalize now feel disrespectful. Things you used to call love now feel like emotional absence. A healed person doesn't argue louder. Just because you know how to regulate your nervous system doesn't mean that you argue louder. They argue clearer. A healed person doesn't love harder. They love with boundaries because they know what they're willing to accept or not. And when one person evolves emotionally while the other one stays the same, it doesn't feel like we're different. It feels like carrying the weight of two people's emotional lives and finally putting it down. Let's just rest this here because I can't anymore. So there's another thing why men keep coming up on this conversation, and you may ask yourself, don't roll the eyes, just listen please. This is where people start pushing back. And they don't realize why women are healing. Why men? Why you gotta be talking about men that are not healed? Why not just say healed and unhealed people? Why put a gender to it? Because I can see the men. But just bear with me. Here's the honest answer. Psychology consistently shows that women are more likely to seek therapy, emotional education, self-reflection, and inner work than men. Psychology says that. Studies in psychology. I'm not saying that. So, not because women are better, but because men were taught very early that silence equals strength. Emotions equal weakness. If you're emotional, you're weak. And vulnerability equals danger. So you guys are afraid to open up. So men don't lack feelings. You guys have feelings. They lack permission to let them out because they've been trained by society that those have to be suppressed since you are very little. And when you grow up without permission to feel, you don't become strong. You become disconnected. And that's what's happening in relationships right now. So what happens? Women often learn emotional language. Men often learn emotional avoidance. That is what's really happening here in all of our relationships right now and why we're not connected. And then they meet each other in relationships and one person wants to talk and connect, which means, let's say, like if you're talking one language, I don't know, Spanish, and the other person hears danger and shuts down when you're talking Spanish. I'm just making a metaphor here. That's not a moral failure. That's conditioning. The man is already used to shutting down because he doesn't know how to express his feelings. But the impact that this has on the relationship, it's so real because unprocessed emotion doesn't disappear. it waits. And eventually it leaks into anger, control, withdrawal, resentment, addiction, emotional abandonment, and other things. Pain that isn't felt becomes pain that's acted out. So when I say unchanged men, I'm not saying men are bad. Just please listen to me. I'm saying the healing work is not happening equally. And relationships are paying the price for this imbalance. And here's a self check. I do this on purpose all the time. So if you listen to my podcast before, you know that I like to do this intentionally. I like to make auto-analyzing questions to see where you're standing, and that help guide you on a certain direction. So I ask questions not to shame you, but to help you self-analyze. So pause for a second and ask yourself honestly, am I listening to this thinking about someone else the whole time? Am I reflecting this into somebody else, or am I willing to see myself in it too? Do you have that ability? Am I feeling curious or defensive? Because defensiveness usually shows up when the truth is knocking. When they hold the mirror up to your face and you see the reflection and you're like, oops. Then you start defending yourself because you do not want to take accountability. And another thing is like how to know if you're with an unchanged person, in case you're wondering. And let's slow this down. You might be with an unchanged person if the following things show up. Number one, you're constantly explaining your feelings instead of being understood. The same conversations repeat with different words, but no real change. Accountability turns into shutdown, sarcasm, or silence. Your needs get labeled as too much because you're feeling too much, you're too emotional, dramatic, or never satisfied. I'm not good enough for you. You feel lonelier inside the relationship than outside of it. So ask yourself these questions, auto-analyze yourself. And here's one that hits really hard. If growth only shows up when you threaten to leave and disappears when things calm down again, that's not growth. No. That's fear management. And now ask yourself this. Do they listen to understand? Does my partner actually listens next to me to understand me? Or do they listen to defend their comfort? Are they immediately waiting to like clap back? Because listening without change is just information gathering. You know the difference? How to know if you are the unchanged one. This should be interesting. This is the part most people avoid. So let's see if you can sit through this one. You might be the unchanged one if you shut down when conversations get uncomfortable. Yes. You label emotional conversations as pointless or exhausting, or like, I don't feel like sitting here like a therapy. You feel attacked when boundaries are introduced. You rely on I don't know instead of curiosity. And you expect patience without doing the inner work. You want your partner to still be patient with you, but you're not doing anything to make things better. And also ask yourself this one. When someone tells you they're hurting, what's your first instinct? Is it to explain yourself or to understand them when they're hurting? Like, what are you really curious on what's hurting them? Growth starts where defensiveness ends. And people need to realize this and really understand this, and how can this have such a huge impact in the relationships? Yes, healed men exist, and it matters a lot. Let me say this clearly. There are healed men. There are actually emotionally intelligent men. There are men doing the work quietly and consistently. And many of them don't get celebrated, which freaking sucks. Instead, they end up getting questioned, mocked, made fun of, made to feel like vulnerability makes them weak. And that matters too. We need more men like that. That's what we need. Healed women, we need more men like that. So if you're a man who can talk, feel, take accountability, repair, and stay present, this episode is not attacking you, right? What? You got it, okay? You matter. Your work matters. And keep on doing it. Do not stop. But acknowledging healed men doesn't erase the larger imbalance we're talking about, which is a reality. So we acknowledge it and we stay focused. So now let's talk what a healed man looks like briefly. So you guys don't say that I'm here bashing you guys and I'm only talking about how bad men are, because I know how certain things we women say get translated into a man's, on a healed man's mind. A healed man isn't perfect. He still gets triggered. He still messes up. But here's the difference. He doesn't weaponize silence. He doesn't confuse control with leadership. He doesn't hold money over the head of her spouse. He doesn't disappear when accountability shows up. A healed man, he says things like, I don't understand this yet, but I want to. He also says, I hear you, but he clearly is hearing. He can say, I need a moment, but I'm not leaving. I just give me a moment to process. That's it. And it's so sad that there's not that many of them. But there are. Why healed women feel threatening? Here's the reason. A healed woman isn't hard to love. She's hard to control. AF. Healing makes you clear, and clarity exposes patterns. And healed woman doesn't confuse anxiety with chemistry. She doesn't call inconsistency, he's mysterious. Sorry that I'm laughing. It's just that they're so relatable. She doesn't call emotional distance masculine. No, it's just that he's very masculine. She doesn't call silence. No, he's peaceful. A healed woman watches behavior and patterns and keeps tracks of it. When you stop being emotionally confused, people who benefited from your confusion will swear you changed. And heck yeah. Yes, you did. You know how's that called? That is called healing. I changed. That is called healing. Now, nothing changes until a pattern is named. Patterns run relationships way more than love ever will. Change happens when you notice the pattern, you name the pattern, and you choose differently to act different than that pattern. That's how you break them. You don't break them dramatically, not perfectly either, but consistently. Healing isn't loud. Healing is not loud. Healing is the moment you pause instead of reacting and deflecting and feeling attacked, even when reacting feels easier. There comes a peace when you heal, that you allow yourself to take time to give that answer because you're really thinking about that person you're talking to. At the end of the day, you still love this person. So when you're healed, you make sure that you're not hurting this person when you're saying how you feel. And the most dangerous moment in a relationship, is not when a woman is angry and loud and screaming and yelling. It's when she goes quiet. Every woman knows what I'm talking about. Not silent treatment quiet, but acceptance quiet. The kind where hope leaves the room quiet. That's why people say, I didn't see it coming. That's why men are like, oh, I never saw it coming. Like she was just quiet, calm. No, she just got tired. Because they only noticed the relationship when it was loud and when she was allegedly just being a pain and screaming. And for the last part of this episode, I want you guys to auto-analyze yourself. Ask yourself, honestly, am I evolving or protecting comfort? Am I asking for change while avoiding self-reflection? Because some of us ask for change, but we're not doing the work ourselves. You got to work on yourself too. Am I staying in hope or staying in the truth? Because hoping for somebody to change that doesn't want to change, that's another $20. These questions are meant to shame you. They're meant to wake you up. They're meant for you to understand yourself better and to make other more questions and sit with yourself. Don't just share this episode. Really sit with it. Auto-analyze yourself. Because we don't take enough time throughout the day to do these kind of things because we're always busy, right? Ask, am I with an unchanged person? Am I the one who's stuck? Am I growing or protecting patterns that I don't want to change? And if this helped you see something clearly, then yes, share it with someone who might need it too. My goal is to help people understand the things that are explained in very complicated vocabulary out there and bring it to a place where you guys can resonate. So please subscribe, follow, leave a review if you can, because healed women don't lose the right people. They lose patterns that were killing them all along. Thank you so much, guys, for listening. Thank you so much for one more Wednesday to give me this time to listen to me. And I know you got a lot of things that you must be doing, a lot of things, but you're choosing to watch this episode. Thank you so much for being here. And if this resonates with you, please do comment. Please leave your what do you think about the episode down here in the comments. Do send it to your friends, family, best friends, you name it. And I'll see you guys on the next one. Thank you so much one more time. Love you bunches.
And remember, we're unfiltered, unapologetic, and unstoppable. That's that.